Hey, Jenny here, the queen of getting your business funded. I'm here to lay down the law like I do every week about all the different tips and tricks and information that I want to share about creative ways of getting your business funded. So, what I wanted to talk about this week is this whole thing called friends and family funding. So not everyone's heard of this concept, but in the world of small business finance, you will often hear people talking about your friends and family round or your friends and family funding. And when you're raising money using kind of the tech startup model where you're going to be going for venture capital investment, those investors that come in, like the venture capital funding, they expect you to go out and do a friends and family round before you even talk to them. And so what they mean by that is they feel like the first people to come in and invest in your business should be people that know you, that trust you, and they expect you to raise maybe a few $100,000 that way from friends and family. And, it's obviously that creates a really unlevel playing field because for some people, depending on your background, it may not be hard to call up a few friends of your parents or people from the country club and say, hey, can you come in for like 25,000 or 50,000? And for them, that's not a lot of money, and they know your parents and they think you're great and they say, sure, so someone who's really comes from a wealthy background, a friends and family round can be quite an easy thing to get. But for those who don't, raising a few $100,000 from your friends and family can be like crazy to even think about. I mean, I've had clients say like, oh my God, I could be talking to my friends and family for the next 5 years and I would probably raise like 25,000 at the most. So, and the reason for that is just that you don't know a lot of people who can afford to put in more than a few $1,000s. So I don't like the term friends and family funding for several reasons. Number one, it's kind of part of this pathway that you're told you're supposed to go down when you're raising money for your business. And for those of you who have ever heard me speak before, you know that I'm not a fan of a one-size-fits-all approach. And I'm definitely not a fan of following this pathway that is laid out for high-growth tech startups. That isn't a good fit for 99% of businesses. So if you're taking that advice of like, oh, first you get your friends and family round, and then you go get some angel funding, and then you go to venture capitalists, that pathway isn't a good fit for most businesses. That's only a good fit if you have built a tech startup that has a really, really high growth potential and you're hoping to sell it within 5 to 7 years. If that's not you, you're not alone. There's very few businesses that are on that path. Even I have lots of clients that are tech startups and do have a lot of high growth potential, but they still don't want to be on that path because they want to build a business that's healthy, sustainable, serves a lot of different values and visions and missions and goals, does not want to be solely focused on let's just grow this thing so we can sell it and become a unicorn and have everyone make billions of dollars and then move on to the next thing. So that model, I call it the venture capital model or the Silicon Valley style model of raising money. It's not a good model for everyone. So the term friends and family is a term that is used a lot in that space. And so I don't like to use that term because it just, it may not fit your situation. Also, when you use the term friends and family, it kind of implies that when you're raising money from non-professional investors, like from the non-angels and the non-VCs, that the only people that you can talk to are people who are your current friends and family. And that's not true. So when I help my clients raise money, and they're not doing a public offering, they're just talking to investors about investing. They're not just talking to their friends and family. And thank goodness, because if we were limited to just raising money from our friends and family, that would be challenging for a lot of us who don't have enough people in that group who could afford to invest the amount of money that we need to raise. So I just call it a private raise. And a private raise is just when you go out to people that you know, people that you don't know, and you ask them to invest. Some of them, they may be your friends, they may be your family, they may be someone you've never met before. That's totally fine. Of course, that somewhat depends on your legal compliance strategy, because when you raise money from investors, you do have to make sure you're doing it within the securities law. And who you ask is going to be dictated by the law that the compliance pathway that you choose. So that's a whole topic for a different day. But if you choose the right pathway, you can absolutely talk to anyone you want to about investing, as long as you're not publicly advertising the fact that you're raising money. So that's another reason I don't like the term friends and family round, because it implies that you couldn't go to a conference where there's tons of people that that you meet, that you feel like you have a real affinity with them. You could ask them, hey, you want to get together for coffee? I'd love to tell you about my business. They don't have to be a friend or family member. So when you hear someone say to you like, oh, are you raising your friends and family around? Just say like, that term doesn't really apply to me. I'm raising money, from like-minded investors. I'm raising money from values-aligned investors. You don't have to use the term friends and family. I'm just a big fan of throwing away all the terminology that comes along with that venture capital style of raising money and coming up with our own words and our own language, so that we don't keep perpetuating this myth that there's only one way to raise money. And if you don't know all those buzzwords and you don't do things the way you're told you're supposed to do, that there's something wrong with you. So that's all I wanted to share today. I would love to hear your thoughts about that whole idea of a friends and family round of funding. Have you ever tried to raise money from friends and family, and what happened? If you were raising money, would you ask your friends and family? I have some clients that say, I feel way more comfortable asking strangers to invest than I do asking my friends and family to invest. And then I have other clients who say the opposite. So I'd love to hear your feedback on when you're raising money, or if you're thinking about raising money, how do you feel about asking your friends and family versus other people? And if you would like more resources, go ahead and go to my website, jennykassan.com, and you can sign up to be on my newsletter list. I work a lot with both investors and entrepreneurs, because I feel like one of my jobs in life is to bring like-minded investors together with like-minded entrepreneurs. And there's not enough ways for those connections to happen when you're outside of that kind of mainstream pathway of how everyone says you're supposed to raise money. So if you come into my world and join my newsletter list, you will start to learn more about not just the entrepreneurs I work with, but a lot of the investors as well. So anyway, have a great day, and I will see you next week. Bye.